I'm Victoria Pearson, but you can call me V, and all year long I've been promising you guys a witchy video, so we're going to do that today. Now I'm going to be doing a really adaptable spell that you can pretty much use to sweeten up any situation that you're in, which is a really good all-rounder. Do you like my hoodie, by the way? I made this myself. I'm very impressed with myself. My son reckons that I should sell it as merch, but I was like, who else is going to want to walk around with "Take a Breath with Me" written on them? I don't know. But if he is right and you guys do want one, just comment "I want one," and if enough of you do, then I guess I will put it on my shop or something. Anyway, let's get on with this spell. We're going to do a sweeten it up honey success spell using mostly things that you probably already have in your house. So for this spell, like with most of my spells, all you're really going to need to start with is a jar. I'm actually using an empty salt shaker. I'll explain what's in there in a minute. But you can use an empty herb jar, you can use a jam jar, coffee jar, it doesn't matter. If you don't have any of those things, you could, for a lot of my spells, use a paper bag. But for this one, we're going to be putting some liquid stuff in it. So you need something that is going to be able to contain that liquid and not make a big mess. You could use a plastic tub or something like that. Sandwich bag would work even, like one of those Sealy Ziploc bags. Anything like that would work. I prefer to use glass jars, but this one's got a plastic top and I don't think that's going to make a big difference to the spell. Now, what we're going to do today, I am doing this spell for a specific purpose, but you can adapt this spell to a lot of different things. So the spell that I'm doing today is to help out somebody who's having some trouble at work. They're having a lot of issues, despite their work being very good and all their deadlines being met. They're concerned about a meeting that's coming up with their boss, and there is a potential that somebody else might be involved in this stirring the pot and causing a few problems. So my spell is going to be directed to sweetening up the whole situation, but it's going to be specifically at work. For you, you don't have to do this as a work spell. You can be sweetening up a relationship issue, you can be sweetening up your general luck, you could be sweetening up your abundance, although there are better money spells, I think, than this one. So this is a very adaptable spell. So inside this jar, you can see some gold ribbon. The gold ribbon is entirely optional, but what's inside that gold ribbon is not. So to make this spell work for the person that you want it to work for, you have to have something of them inside it. Most witches would use a tag lock for this. A tag lock is a lock of hair, fingernail, spit, anything that is physically that person would work. Child's tooth, anything. But this is an online friend that I have. They live very far away. I can't just go and pull a hair out of their head. And so I have printed off a photo of them. I've written their name on it. And then I folded the piece of paper towards me because I'm trying to bring something in for the person as I was thinking about the intention of the spell, which in this case is to sweeten up the work situation. I also drew a sigil on that piece of paper. Again, that is a very optional thing. I have done a video before of how to make a sigil. They're fairly simple. You can squiggle something. What matters is that you mean it. But yeah, something to represent the person that you're doing the spell for. If this is you, that's really easy. Spit in your jar, put a hair in it. It doesn't matter what it is, as long as it's something of you. But in this particular case, I was doing this spell for somebody, so I used a photo of them, folded it up. I did my sigil on one side of the paper, folded. Then I wrote the intention as well, which was to soften up this situation at work, sweeten everything up at work. That's it. And then I folded it again, sealed it with a kiss, folded it again. I like to seal things with a kiss when it's a positive sort of spell and things that I want to welcome into my life. It feels welcoming. You don't have to do that if it doesn't feel right for you, and you probably shouldn't do that if you're trying to get rid of something. This is probably not the right spell for if you're trying to sweeten up a situation with a particular person that you want rid of in your life. Go for a banishing spell instead then. This could end up binding you, which isn't ideal. But I don't mind being bound to this person. They're a nice enough person and I know how to break that bond if necessary. So this was a salt shaker. I left a little couple of grains of salt in the bottom of there because that's a nice sort of pure sort of thing. It's a good purifying thing, and so I did that instead of incense smoke. I left the salt in and I give it a shake. But then I've put my tag lock in, and in my case I've wrapped it in gold ribbon for success. and for abundance and all that sort of thing, because it's a work related spell. So colours that I want to use are gold and green and things like that represent abundance, money, luck, happiness and joy at work. So I wrapped it in gold ribbon because I had some gold ribbon, but that is an entirely optional step. A couple of things that you will need for this. Any sweeten it up jar spell needs either sugar or honey or both to sweeten the whole situation up. So I'm going to get some honey. I'm also going to put in here a little bit of sand from the beach, because that represents to me sort of restful, relaxful, positive. And so I'm hoping it'll bring some of that energy into the situation. But also because I said I'm not sure if there is another person involved in this situation that is stirring up the pot, I think I'm also going to put a tiny little mirror in here to reflect any bad energies back away from the person that I'm doing the spell for. I'm going to go and grab a couple of ingredients now. We're going to need a few things from the kitchen for this. We're going to need honey, we're going to need sugar. We're definitely going to need cinnamon for this one, because cinnamon blocks negative energy, so it will remove that person from the situation, but it also attracts abundance and enhances your manifestation. I'm trying to manifest a really good time at work for this person, so we're going to do lots of cinnamon. In fact, I'm going to put a cinnamon stick in here and some powdered cinnamon as well, just to give it that extra zhuzh. Basil is probably going to end up in here as well if I've got any left in my cupboard, because that's another good herb for money and abundance. And I'm going to grab a couple of bay leaves to write my intention on to put in there as well, because they help to bring about your manifestations too. So I'm going to go to my kitchen and grab those ingredients. You go and have a rummage in your cupboards as well, see which ones you've got. Don't panic too much if you don't have something. You can substitute pretty much anything in witchcraft. We're not making cake here. It's more like a salad. If you don't have enough cucumber, you can just add more lettuce. It's fine. But if you are substituting things that I say, make sure you look up their correspondences. You can't just stick sage in for basil unless you tell that sage for quite a considerable amount of time that it's basil now, so that it knows. If you're not sure about your herbal correspondences, it's probably best to just leave out the ones that you don't have. Might also get some star anise if I've got some star anise for a bit of success. And I have in my house somewhere a bunch of different jewelry findings, like things for making jewelry, and I'm pretty sure I have some tiny little keys in there. I'm going to try and find a key to put in here for success as well. So I'm going to go and gather those ingredients, and then I will show you how to put them in. So while I was gathering some supplies, I also picked up some yellow incense there. I feel like incense makes me feel like I'm in a more witchy mood. Helps to ground me and set that intention of what I'm doing. But I chose yellow because it is a colour of success, and I am actually going to blow some of the smoke into the jar as well. So I'm going to hold my incense in front of there and just blow. Help cleanse that out, and I'm just going to have that burning here whilst I'm doing the spell. I'm not just putting it on the floor. I've got this really cute little incense burner. Isn't that adorable? It keeps falling over when I move it, which isn't very adorable, but I thought it was adorable. It's a little genie lamp there. So we've cleansed this with smoke. We've put our tag lock in it, which is our thing to represent the person that we're doing the work for. I have the sun massively in my eyes right now and I can't move from here, so I'm going to be squinting through this entire video. Fun for me. Right. I gathered a few more bits as well whilst I was rummaging in my witchy cupboard. I have here some dried yellow rose petals. Again, they're not an essential, but to me they represent happiness, they represent life, they represent success. And so I'm going to pop some of those into my jar. Then I'm going to add, which I think I already told you, a pinch of beach sand. Because restful, sociable, positive, nice vibes. We want all the nice vibes in this jar. Now I told you about I was going to put a tiny mirror in it to reflect any bad vibes away. I'm going to save that till the very last, so it's right at the top of the thing. So the base of this is all positive, it's all success stories. Now I think I just mentioned to you that cinnamon both wards off evil and it helps to turbocharge our manifestation. So I'm going to put quite a lot of powdered cinnamon in here. And I'm also going to put a cinnamon stick in there as well, just to keep those cinnamon energies really coming. Now, why would they make a shaker top for a jar full of cinnamon sticks? That's ridiculous. It took me a little while to get that off as well. So we're going to put one of the cinnamon sticks in there as well. Hope it fits. Yes, look at that, just right. Fantastic. I'm going to pass that over the incense smoke again, just as I like to. So I mentioned the cinnamon sticks and stuff at the beginning, and why I was doing cinnamon. Oh, I put that on the wrong thing. There we go. I also mentioned basil to you. I've only got a little bit of basil, but we're going to just pour it all in. Shake that all down to the bottom. And then, I didn't mention this when I was first talking about it, but I'm also going to put some mint in. This is just dried garden mint. Because mint is a good herb for manifesting money. And this person is a little bit worried that they might get sacked. So I want to make sure that if my success spell doesn't go right because that's not what's right for them, they're not meant to stay in this job, that they still have that material abundance, that they've still got that financial security, and that they're, you know, feeling financially secure, so that they're not having a panic about being sacked. So it's that. And then we are going to add in some bay leaves, but we're not just going to put them in just as they are. What we're going to do is take them out, drop them all over the floor, and then that one's a bit scabby looking, and then we're going to write our intention on the leaf directly. So in this case, job security, job safety, well liked at work. And we're going to pop that in just to turbocharge what we're doing here. I feel like I've said turbocharge quite a lot, but that's what we're doing. We're trying to turbocharge all the good things. Now, if you were doing a purely money-based spell here, I would also recommend adding in some oats or some wheat, because those are really, really representative of abundance. I'm not going to do that on here because I don't think that financial concerns are the biggest concern in this situation. It's more about job security and things. Are you a pen? You're not a pen. You're a pen. Do you work? You work. So I am going to write job security or something very similar on my leaf. And I'm going to make sure that I specify for this particular person, so that it doesn't think I'm talking to me. I'm going to fold that in half towards me, not away, because we're wanting to bring this in. But if the person that you're working the spell for is in the room with you, have them sit opposite you and fold it towards them instead. I'm going to pop that into my jar as well. It's not looking terribly aesthetic at the moment. But that doesn't matter. It doesn't really matter if it looks aesthetic at the end anyway. Some spell jars do. I've got some really pretty ones. I have got some really pretty aesthetic ones with feathers and the drippy wax and all that sort of thing. And then I've got some that just look a right mess. But you know what? They all work. And the best thing about these spell jars, see, I don't even remember what this one is for. Isn't that amazing? I have absolutely no idea. I'm sure it was important at the time, but that is the best thing about these kind of spells, is that you set them and forget them. And a couple of times you might notice one as you walk past and you give it a little shake like that. That's all you need to do. You don't need to do anything else to it. Once it's done, it's done. I've got these little dried flowers. I don't actually know what they are. There's a bunch of different ones in there. They do include some little husks of wheat, I think. But I'm just going to sprinkle them in again, because flowers to me represents happiness, it represents good times, happy memories, and you know, we want all the positive things in this spell jar. And who knows, maybe you might think it looks a bit more aesthetic now. I don't think it's going to, but that doesn't matter. Now we are coming to the most important part of the spell. Wait, no we're not. First, I'm going to put this little key in that I found, because keys represent success, and particularly success at work. And so I happen to have a lot of these little charms, so that's going to go in there as well to speed the success of my spell. And I absolutely love that it's gold coloured. I hated that when it arrived because I don't like gold jewellery on myself, and so I wasn't going to use it for any jewellery for myself. But it's great for success and luck spells, because that gold is the colour of the sun, it's the colour of money, it's the colour of wealth, and that's all the things that we want in there. We want the sun for success, we want the money abundance so that we don't get sacked, and all that sort of thing. But now it's time for the most important thing, which is sugar. It doesn't have to be silver spoon, that's just what I bought. This is just going to sweeten the whole situation up. I'm probably going to spill this everywhere, trying to do it on camera. I'm going to pretty much fill up the whole thing and tap it so that it all sinks down. Because I also want room for honey in this as well. You don't have to do sugar and honey. You can do one or the other. Most people choose honey, I guess because it's a bit more natural. If you're vegan, you might just want to do sugar. If you're on a diet, you could do sweetener, but I don't know how well that would work. If you ever try that, let me know. I would love to see if sweetener has the same sort of magical properties as sugar. And now, glorious runny honey. This is going to make such a mess of my desk. I just know that it is. I'm going to try so hard to not get it everywhere. I'm just going to pour that in all over the whole thing. There is a school of thought that says that you should put the honey in first so that it doesn't have to sink down over everything and the other ingredients won't block it. But I feel like sealing the whole thing with honey makes a lot of sense magically, you know. And we're actually going to put in as much as we can fit into here. So you might want to wait for it to sink down a little bit and then just pour some more on. And then wait for it to sink down a little bit again. And it does sort of gloop down eventually. It's starting to gloop its way down there. I maybe should have bashed this around a bit more first to get it all moving. Because I really don't want it to solidify just yet. It can solidify when we're done. That would be even better because it'll seal the whole thing up. Ugh. That's a good 3 spoons full of honey there, so that's good. 3's a nice round magical number, isn't it? We like 3's in witchcraft. I think that's probably as much as I'm going to be able to fit in there. And then for me personally, because like I said, I feel like there might be a third party involved in this situation that is deliberately bringing negativity. Oh, that plop down, I can put a bit more in. Because I think that there might be a third party who is deliberately bringing some bad energy into this, but I don't want to like harm that person, curse that person or anything like that. But I am just going to pop this tiny little mirror in the very top of the spell facing out from the spell to just reflect any bad energies that might be coming in back to whoever is sending them. But we don't mean this person any harm. We just feel like they should be taking care of their own energies and not worrying about anybody else's. We're responsible for the energy that we bring into this world. There's something very interesting happening here, and I'm not sure if you're going to be able to see, but I've got a massive honey bubble forming around this cinnamon stick where the air was inside it. And now we're overflowing. Great, that's fun. So yes, we don't mean this person any harm that might be interfering, but they need to take their energies back. That's not for us. So I am going to put that in, but because I am using this salt shaker as my jar, I'm actually going to pop my mirror in the very top of it and then put the lid on top so that it's separate from the rest of the spell, but it's still contained within. Again, that's optional. If you are unsure if there is somebody else involved in your situation, don't include them in your spell. Focus it entirely on yourself or the person that has asked you to do the spell for you. Focus on bringing in good luck, abundance, and protection to them rather than trying to work any magic against anybody else, because you could be wrong. And also, you could be setting yourself up for a karmic slap if what they're doing is meant to happen. So once we have finished, we really firmly tighten our lid because we do not want this going all over the place. Look at it, look how gloopy it is. Oh, it does look kind of, yeah. With the lid on, I'm going to give it a bash as well and a shake around to let things go down to the bottom. But because I've got my mirror thing in the top, that's not going to sink, so that's fantastic. That's staying there on the outside, pointing out towards whoever is trying to harm this person. It is worth noting, I don't think that the person involved in this situation is doing some kind of magical practitioning to harm anybody. I think they're just a nosy baggage who's getting themselves involved. But when you do magic to harm people, especially if those people haven't harmed you or haven't done anything significant to harm you, that is going to come back and bite you on the bum. Do not be doing magic to try and karmically slap people, even if you think that they deserve it. The universe knows better. The universe will sort it out for you. You don't need to get involved. That being said, that doesn't mean you have to take any crap, and if somebody is psychically attacking you, then you ward against them, you banish them, and you send that energy back to the sender. In this particular case, I'm not certain that that's happening. So the mirror there is more of a precaution, but the main focus of this spell is protecting this person at work, protecting them from negative energies at work, and making everything at work just go really sweet, the way it's supposed to. Now that I've finished putting all this in, I'm going to tell it my intention a little bit. So I'm actually going to pause while I do this because I'm going to say some personal stuff about the person involved, and I don't want to sort of out them having problems at work. I also don't want to out them as getting magical assistance either. So I am going to pause the video. I'm going to tell this jar what I want it to do. So for you, you would just take your jar, I'm taking this empty one because I don't want to confuse that, and you would tell it what you want it to do. So like you would say, bring me success at work. You'd say, bring me financial abundance. You would say, my cup run is over. You know, I can't stop good things happening to me. All that sort of positive things. So I'm going to pause it and say that to this. Look at that glooping down. Oh, I love that. So I am going to have a chat with this jar now and tell it what it's for, and then I'll show you how to do the very last step. Right, so I focused for quite a long time telling this jar specifically who it was working for and what it was supposed to be doing. So now I feel like this intention is locked in. It knows exactly what it's for, where it's going. It knew that already from the tag log. I did that as a sort of extra thing because I'm filming at the same time as making it. And normally, like I say, I make a dummy spell to show you how to do it, but this is a real spell this time. Honey everywhere, but I like honey, so it's okay. It's a little honey spell as well, is if you take some on your finger, put it on your tongue. It helps you speak more sweetly about people, apparently. I wouldn't know, I'm always lovely. So, last step is to melt the candle on top of this to seal the whole thing. I'm using a white candle, but for a success spell, I would recommend a gold one. For a money spell, I would recommend a green one. For a love spell, I would recommend a pink one. So have a look at what colour correspondences work for your intentions of your spell. If you don't have the colour, like I did not, a white one or a black one will work for any. You want to burn the bottom end of it to make that gloop piece so that you can stick it on top of your jar. It might take a few goes. And when you've done that, I've said this to you every single time that we do anything to do with candles or incense or anything like that. Don't burn your freaking house down. I won't be held responsible. Watch it while it's burning. You're going to stick it to the top of your jar with some wax, and then you're going to light it, and you're going to let that burn out completely. You're not going to blow this candle out. And so if you are in a hurry with this spell and you need to get it moving fast, and you can't wait an hour for that kind of candle to burn down, then you need to get yourself some birthday candles, because they come in all the different colours, and so you've got something for every correspondence that you could possibly need, but also they burn out very, very quickly, so you don't need to spend as long doing it. I'm going to move you so you can see. Here is the spell with the candle on top. Can you see that? As it burns down, the wax will sort of flow over the jar. That being said, these are spell candles and they don't leave a lot of wax behind. They're not really for sealing things, but they are only an hour to burn, so I'm quite happy with that. And I feel like it's well sealed enough with the honey. Once that's burned down completely, I'm going to leave it in the sunshine for a little while because the sun is success. I'm going to make sure that it has been in noon sunshine, because that is sun. It is zenith. It is the most powerful, and especially in the winter, the sun hasn't got a lot of power right now. So we're going to make sure it's in the most powerful sunlight that we can to really charge that up. And then we're just going to forget about it. You're not going to keep checking on it. You're not going to keep worrying about it. You wouldn't plant a seed and then keep digging it up to see if it's sprouted yet. You need to leave it to do its thing. Too many people, especially with the jar spells, get really sort of obsessive about whether it's getting results, and that can block things. You need to just leave it and let it be in its peace, and then it will sort itself out for you. I will let you know if this has actually worked out for the person in a few weeks when we know, but I'm absolutely sure that it will, because they've got all the material things on their side as well. They've got the good work ethic, they've got the their work is done well, all this sort of thing. There is no material reason for them to be in trouble, which is why I suspect third-party involvement. But that helps. So if you are doing, say, a money abundance spell, it helps to do real-world work to go with it. So work on paying down your debts. See if you can take on other opportunities, make it available, make it known to people that you're available for other opportunities, and all that sort of thing. Whenever you're doing magic and you are tempted to try and check on the outcome, try and do something practical towards your outcome instead, and that will work out a lot better for you. Well, I hope that you enjoyed watching me work that spell. Normally I make a little dummy version of a spell that I've already done, but today I was working an actual spell, so it'll be interesting to see if the results come up the same way as I hope. And I'd be very interested to know how you've adapted this spell, whether it worked for you, that sort of thing, because this is, as I said, such an adaptable spell. You can use it for so many different situations. And so it'd be great to see how many of you use it and in what different ways. Join me on Monday for my next vlog. I will be here doing something, I'm not sure yet. I'm not going to keep promising you things because then something always goes wrong. But if you can't wait until next week to see me, I am here every single morning in your shorts. You can take a breath with me. We can talk about what we're grateful for that day, sometimes what's challenges in us that day. And if you can't wait for more witchy content, I am here on a Witchy Wednesday doing an intuitive card read for you as well. Till then, you have yourself a magical week.